Hey, my fellow football Americans, a quick break in the action to ask this question. Are you counting down the days until payday? Like your old pal Dave is? Instacash from Moneyline can help you access up to $500 of your hard-earned pay early. There's no interest, no credit check, and no monthly fees. So you can manage those in-between expenses with a lot less stress. Download the Moneyline app and link your qualifying bank account to see what you qualify for. Moneyline. Make money easy. Instacash is subject to terms and eligibility requirements. Expedited delivery requires a turbo fee. See Moneyline.com. We've got the best in the biz, Daniel Jeremiah, coming up to talk NFL draft. Yeah, the NFL draft is fast approaching, and while I don't know if I'm even going to get picked, I am nevertheless, as society's greatest empath, still willing to share a few helpful do's and don'ts for the draft eligible among us. First, when a team calls, don't answer on the first ring. You don't want to seem desperate. Unless it's Woody Johnson, then just let it go to voicemail. You do need to have some standards here. Don't go to the green room. Yeah, the food's good, but man, why risk being the next Aaron Rodgers or Brady Quinn with a camera zoomed in on your face as your face reacts to hearing other players' names called? At least the nominees at the Oscars only have to deal with it for like 6 seconds. You have to deal with it all night. And definitely don't do the bro hug with Roger Goodell. Why be a pawn in the commission's look at me antics? It's always degrees of uncomfortable, the swaying gently back and forth like an old couple celebrating their golden anniversary. Now listen, I get it. Avoiding that moment's easier said than done. I mean, he is kind of your boss now. But for what it's worth, I don't remember hugging any of my bosses, ever. Matter of fact, let's get Raj back in the basement. I think that'll be better for everybody. And speaking of hugs, and this one should be a gimme, but I've seen way too many guys screw it up. Do hug your mom first. Yeah, I know your agents told you he could work with anybody in the business, but he chose you because he sees you as a generational talent, and he is ultimately the one who's going to get you paid. But it's your mom. Ladies first. Do not let your girlfriend be in the shot at all. Just avoid the whole mess. Your future wife's definitely not going to love it. Oh, but Dave, we're already married. Yeah, like I say. Your future wife's not going to love it. Don't say you're ready to get to work. Why set the bar so high on day one? We'll just assume you intend to try when the time comes. Next, if you're going to self-medicate, don't do it in a mask designed to protect you from a nerve gas attack in the First World War. And if there does happen to be video of you wearing said mask, just say it wasn't you. I don't know, maybe it'll work. And on the bright side, remember this. Are there any other names you can remember from that draft beyond Laramie Tunsil's? This one's for anybody taken by the Ravens. Don't get too comfy. Decent chance they made a mistake and wanted someone else. And if you're drafted anywhere other than the first overall, do take solace in the knowledge there's never been a worse culture fit than Fernando Mendoza in Sin City, Nevada. Don't walk like Mac Jones. That really goes for any human being, not just football players. And do remember, this is still the best, the greatest moment of your life. And as a viewer, they know it's coming, the family knows it's coming, but the moment they find out they're a first-round pick and therefore probably set for life is tough to be cynical about. And as far as that goes, if you do want to give me a call, I'm sitting right here, NFL teams. Meantime, start the show. Go. Yes, hi and hello, my fellow football Americans. Welcome to Football America, presented as ever by our pals over at DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours, as I just said at the top there. Daniel Jeremiah on the way to talk NFL draft in the QB League. We'll talk some QBs at large, too, not just about the student athletes that are about to be taken on the banks of the Three Rivers. By the way, programming note, Football America will be going to the OG football town, Pittsburgh, PA, for that draft at the end of April. Can't wait! In the meantime, this is episode number 56, so as we do with every episode, what player or player wore that jersey number 56, best, not just in NFL history, but in sports history? Gino Fuentes, take it away. What's happening with you and Mike Fuentes and otherwise down there in Miami, Florida?
What's up, Dave? We're doing good.
How are we?
We're doing good. We're doing respectable here. But there, as for number 56, I mean, there's consensus here, right? It's Lawrence Taylor. That is the top of the mountain, 56 here.
We don't need to spend a ton of time on this.
No, I mean, we got some other names if you want to have some other names. We got Sergei Zubov if you want to go NHL. Mark Burley if you want to go baseball.
Famer.
What you got?
Mark Burley, the lefty.
Yeah.
For the Pale Hose.
I always remember Lawrence Taylor. One of my earliest memories of Lawrence Taylor is in The Waterboy, when he looks over at the kids after Bobby Boucher talks and he says, "Don't smoke crack," which is hilarious coming from him. Yeah.
That is interesting. And now that you said that, how many NFL players have been in more movies than Lawrence Taylor? Because now that plus, what was the football movie called?
Any Given Sunday.
Any Given Sunday.
He's also in the Little Giants. So the 90s was a big movie time for Lawrence Taylor. And
three
that I remember.
Beat that. Jim Brown retired from the NFL so he could go be an actor.
Smart, by the way.
And he got promptly shot by the Nazi scourge. He was dropping. You see what he was doing? He was throwing the. You've seen Dirty Dozen, have you there, Mike Fuentes?
Yes.
That's what he does. Yeah, he can do it. He's going to throw the grenades down the pipes down into the Nazi officers and their significant others. And
he also
almost makes it.
And in Mars Attacks, he played a Las Vegas performer.
He
played an ex-boxer who had become a Las Vegas performer at the Pyramid, the Luxor Pyramid, I think, and he ends up boxing one of the aliens, and then he gets taken down, but then he has a triumphant return at the end when they look down after the aliens have been vanquished, and he's there, all cut up. He fought his way through the aliens. So he battled Nazis and aliens. What an American hero!
Holy hell, Mike Fuentes showing that it's not just dumb Dave whose brain is filled with the useless information. Good for you. Yes, you were running through him. Sergei Zubov was great, but also Pat Swilling, Andre Tippett. Andre Tippett is, in my head at least, along with Wesley Welker. Everybody makes the same joke about Tom Brady was a 6th-round draft pick. Every broadcast has to mention that. And Ryan Fitzpatrick went to Harvard, and Tony Gonzalez played college basketball. But the two guys who I first heard that about were one, Andre Tippett. They never went without mentioning, he knows Tai Chi. He does Tai Chi on the side to keep himself fit. And Wesley Walker, for the New York Jets, was blind in one eye. They always mention he's legally blind in one eye. Actually, the first one I ever heard, Lynn Swann did ballet. That's what explains.
That's why they call him the Swan, right? Yeah.
I remember. What also was his last name?
Don't you think that legally blind, a little bit of a cop out? Either blind or you're not. Right?
You're right.
Because then they go legally. It's like
a crutch.
Yeah, exactly. He's not really blind then. I'm saying legally blind.
It's a crutch. Yeah, right. I dropped. Why'd you? Whoa, Wesley, what happened? Hey, coach, come on, man. Take it easy on me. I'm in.
Just starts pointing at his eye. Yeah, look, I can't see you.
I'm legally blind in one eye. Yeah. Also, Quentin Nelson is in the NFL right now, and he wears number 56.
Maybe the best guard in the
league.
Yep.
For the Pittsburgh Steelers, when they won that Super Bowl 43, he was on the roster there. And in fact, he hit Joe Flacco that forced the interception that Troy Polamalu ran into the end zone against the Ravens. Now, it's also March Madness. We're talking NFL draft, but we keep our eye on our good eye on all sports. And March Madness, I have to say, it's one of my perennial curmudgeon Dave things. March Madness is fine. It's fun if you're listening to this on Friday and you are not in a bar instead of at work. Then what are you doing? That you're letting the man win. Don't let the man win. The man, even the man understands that you should be skipping work to be sitting in a bar. I definitely did that when I cared about it, but I care about the activity of watching the games and the fun. I do not think, for all its virtues, that March Madness is a good evaluator of who the best team in college basketball is. It's a hokey, weird tournament, and the more teams you jam into it, the less relevant it becomes. I don't think that many people are paying that much attention to college basketball these days, but I'm sure the ratings will be through the roof. Nevertheless, do you agree that Selection Sunday is in the top 3 best sporting events that involve no actual sports?
What do we got? We got the NFL draft.
I don't know.
What about the
Number
draft?
one.
What about the
That's number one.
Which one's bigger in basketball, the draft lottery or the draft itself?
The lottery.
The lottery? Okay.
Yeah,
Lottery's
way bigger. Yeah, because once you realize,
too many euros.
Yeah, and there's basketball usually has like 5 guys at the most that everybody's like, these are the guys, and then after that you're kind of just like filling out role players.
Well, those
right?
are the two that come to mind.
Yeah.
So I guess if you're going to make it a top 3 thing, then selection there.
Well, the reason college basketball isn't important anymore is because of exactly this. You knew the guys, even the good players stayed for, 2 years. Most of the time, 2-3 years, and you knew who they were. Now they're from, it's great for the sport that it's a global thing, but you don't know who any of these guys are at this point. Like, he's the Greek guy is going to be like, I've never seen him play. I don't know how to pronounce his name. So NBA draft lottery better than the draft itself, and then Selection Sunday. Like I say, that would have to be.
I'll give it a bronze, sure.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of them. I can't even think of a lot.
Yeah, but anytime you throw a new selection up on the screen, you got a school full of screaming children.
And there's always the camera that's there, like Arkansas West University, and they're a 13 seed. They overcame it all.
This is their first time ever in the NCAA.
They're 31-3, and now they got to play a team that lost 10 games.
Right.
Yeah.
It all hinges. Well, first of all, the other thing I say every year this millennium is this is true only in men's college basketball, as far as I know. The best teams today would lose to teams from 30 years ago. That just doesn't exist anywhere else in sports, right?
Yeah, because the pro guys actually played years in college basketball back then. So you'd have like
teams.
Yeah, like third-year Larry Johnson or whoever, like a guy that had been there a few years. Now he's playing up against a 18-year-old kid that's basically just like...
Yeah, but those starting fives would go through 3 years of college
together.
basketball.
Well, they'd be teams with NBA guys. Now you might have some teams, but all those guys are either headed to Europe or, the account...
Well, right. Position. I think it's... I think, while obviously as an Indiana Hoosier alum, I think it was fun that the Hoosiers won the national championship. But, man, I don't think it's ultimately a good thing. In the short term, these Cinderella stories. If that's all you have nothing. College basketball now is largely propped up by Duke still being good. You need and teams like that. If you don't have name brand teams, like, it's a good thing Gonzaga has sustained what it's done, because now at least whether could name a single player on the team, their head coaches, the uniforms, and I think that really does, like I say, prop the sport up. Otherwise, I think it would really fall into irrelevance. Although, like I say, it is neatly positioned to steal your attention. It's in the middle of the week, in the middle of the day. You have very little of that in most other major sports, that you have middle of the day. These games actually matter kind of energy around them. And so anyway, bottom line is go out and get drunk. Before we get to Daniel Jeremiah and Jalen Waddle, and we want to hear what the Miami boys think about that. Real quick, did you know it's Andy Reid's birthday?
Oh, happy birthday, Andy Reid.
Yeah. How did you already know this, or is this really news to you?
No, it really is news. I don't know.
Okay, guess his age.
63.
Oh, okay. I saw.
Did I get it right?
I'm gonna go 65.
No, it's 68.
Oh, 68.
Oh, okay. I'm wrong too.
I just knew he was in his 60s. That's all I know.
In my head, he's like 77 years old, which I guess wouldn't make any sense, although presidents of the United States exceed even that at this point. They don't even start paying attention until they're in their late 70s to making a presidential run. It struck me as like, he's only 68, huh? Huh, okay. Seems a little older than that. But anyway, I wonder how long he'll be around. That is one question for Daniel Jeremiah. Where do the Kansas City Chiefs now stand with an injured, at least to start the season, Patrick Mahomes? Where do they even rank in that AFC West? Yikes, is that loaded. The Broncos now with Jalen Waddle, and the Chargers are good, are real good, I think. And the Raiders are relevant at worst. So the world that Patrick Mahomes is walking back into, when he does walk back in, is going to look a little bit different and more rugged. All right, let's talk about that. Let's talk about all of it with our guy, best in the business, Daniel Jeremiah. Hey, my fellow football Americans, a quick break in the action to ask this question. Are you counting down the days until payday? like your old pal Dave is, Instacash from Moneyline can help you access up to $500 of your hard-earned pay early. There's no interest, no credit check, and no monthly fees. So you can manage those in-between expenses with a lot less stress. Download the Moneyline app and link your qualifying bank account to see what you qualify for. Moneyline. Make money easy. Instacash is subject to terms and eligibility requirements. Expedited delivery requires a turbo fee. See Moneyline.com. Hey there, my fellow football Americans. Let me tell you, one thing I've done really well in my life is make babies. 4 of them, in fact. And when each of them was born, everything changed for me all over again. There's this overwhelming feeling you get. It's not just love, it's this need to protect them. Suddenly, every decision you make is about them and their future. The last thing a person wants is to worry about how your family's going to pay the bills if something were to happen to you. Would they be financially prepared? Well, with life insurance from Ethos, your family is protected. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. Get a quote in as little as 10 minutes with no medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions. There's no complicated process. It's 100% online. And some policies are as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. If you're still unsure, let me tell you, there are now 3 million families who've completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage for them. And as of March last year, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. So, protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/FBA. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get your free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/FBA. That's ethos.com/FBA, ethos.com/FBA. Application times and rates may vary. Hey there, my fellow football American. Quick question for you. Do you like to eat food? You do? I knew it. We have a lot in common, you and me. I bet you also would like to eat better, but you have zero time and energy to make it happen, even if someone does the meal prepping for you. See? Told you we have a lot in common. Well, good news, Factor doesn't ask you to do that meal prep or even follow recipes. It removes the problem entirely. 2 minutes, real food, done and done. Look, you know I'm from Pittsburgh, or maybe you don't, but now you do, and everyone knows Pittsburgh food may not always be that healthy. Delicious, sure, but I'm saying healthy. With Factor, I get lean proteins, colorful veggies, whole food ingredients, and healthy fats. No refined sugars, no artificial sweeteners, no refined seed oils. Healthy, delicious, and barely takes up any of your time. It's healthy eating designed by dietitians and crafted by chefs. And with 100 rotating meals every week, Factor fits your life, not someone else's plan. You pick what fits your goals. Healthier eating, calorie management, more protein, whatever you're trying to do. And trust me, the meals aren't just easy and healthy. As I've already told you, and I will say again, they're delicious. Always fresh, never frozen, ready in 2 minutes, no prep, no cleanup, no mental load, and most importantly, no stress. All you got to do is head to factormeals.com/FBA50 off. Again, use the code FBA50 off to get 50% off your Factor box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. Breakfast, maybe the best meal of the day. Trust me, the pancakes at minimum are delicious. Eat like a pro this month with Factor. New subscribers only, varies by plan. 1 free breakfast item per box for 1 year while subscription is active.
In sports, championships aren't won alone. They're won with the right people around you. That's exactly what Intuit TurboTax brings to taxes. With TurboTax Expert Full Service, matched with a dedicated tax expert who handles your taxes from start to finish. The experience is seamless. Start in person, finish online, move between both whenever needed. The dedicated tax expert keeps things updated every step of the way so nothing falls between the cracks. Think of it like having a great head coach with a solid game plan. The plays are called, adjustments are made, and the work gets done while everyone stays focused on what actually matters. And just like game film doesn't wait for business hours, neither do taxes. With TurboTax Expert Full Service, you can get any tax question answered at no extra cost, even on nights and weekends during tax season. This is having someone in your corner running the whole operation and helping put points on the board. Get started at TurboTax.com. Only available with Intuit TurboTax Full Service experts. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app.
All right, gather round, draft nerds. Your king has arrived. I mean, this guy, sincerely, I know he gets roughly 48,000 requests daily, especially in this window. This is sort of like he's a tax man, and he's right in the middle of tax season here. So he takes a couple minutes to kibitz with Dumb Dave. I always appreciate him doing it. You know him from Move the Sticks because he is Move the Sticks. Plus, he's got his little side gig with our old pal, the boss, Greg Rosenthal, 40s and free agents. Make sure you're checking that if you are one of those aforementioned draft nerds. I suspect he could be a GM tomorrow if he wanted to be. He is, in the meantime, our pal, like I say, Daniel Jeremiah. What's going down, fella, and how are you?
Man, a lot has changed since we were together, Dave. I mean, for instance, you go to a football school. I didn't see that coming. Right. That was a little bit of a plot twist. Mm-hmm. Somehow your hair is improved. I don't know what's going on there, really? But that looks incredible. Yeah, I like what you got going on with your flow up there. And I like the rustic Brawny Towel guy shirt that you got going on. I think it's just it's like a more manly, I think it's the transition from a basketball school to a football school. It's like this more rugged, manly Dave Dameshek now. I think it all comes together.
I mean, I don't want to disagree with you right out of the gate, but I mean, I think I've always been ruggedly handsome. I think that's who I am. I mean, that's who I've been since day one, since you met me there. Daniel Jeremiah,
what do you do during the NCAA tournament these days now, by the way? Just kind of, it's not, it used to be your time of the year, and now it's like, well, when's spring ball? We got a spring game coming up anytime soon?
That's I'm nimble like that. I've the Bob Knight years are way in the rear view at this. I've had a few minutes to get ready for the Kurt Signetti, Pittsburgh legend moving over to Bloomington, not unlike Mark Cuban and one Dave Dameshek. Yeah, completing
that's the power. That's the power trio. That's what they say.
Daniel Jeremiah, banner work as always. What do you have now? 3 mock drafts out?
I think so. I believe 3, and I think there's only one more. I believe there's only one more, but I could be mistaken. Maybe 2, but I think
for the
one.
World. Yeah. I like that everybody now does one. It's one of these things that you sort of opened it like as a gateway for all the world to now do these things. I like how everybody does their ones, team-specific ones, and they're like, what does everybody think here? Like, well, I think you are giving your favorite team guys who are not going to be available in round 4, their first round picks. Like, what do you think, everybody? What a bargain I got.
Would you sign up for this?
By the way, among the accolades, I was listing there, but now I see you in your retro earbuds with the cords. You explained a year ago that you don't want to get the ear cancer or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know if that's legit, but it was an Instagram video that caught me in a vulnerable moment.
Taking counsel from your brother-in-law, like, I heard there are waves going through your head. Another accolade I didn't mention is that you're one half of the great radio booth with our pal Matt Money Smith. So let's start there.
Yeah.
Because I talk about these players who you like in the second or third round. I also like to get you from a broader football perspective. Your Chargers look great with those 2 tackles coming back. You think a year delayed for Jim Harbaugh. You thought year 2 would be it, but then both those guys go down, and then that pushes it to this year. Problem is the AFC West is rough now. The Raiders are legit, I feel like, kind of borderline. Is KC the 4th best team in that division now all of a sudden?
Oh my gosh. No, I can't get there. I can't get there. But they, for so long, just being the clear-cut favorite, is this the first time that it's not just a cute pick? People would say if you pick the Chargers a couple years ago, it's a cute pick. The Chiefs are in the Super Bowl every year. I think the Broncos will be the prohibitive favorite in the division. I think that'll be probably the most commonly held opinion as we come into next year. I would say it's going to be, there'll be half the people will pick the Chargers next, and then half the people will say, oh, Kansas City will bounce back. Mahomes will get back healthy and they'll be okay. The Raiders are better, but I think they're still clearly in a 4 spot.
Okay. Yeah, that stands to reason, but there's a great enthusiasm now as Max Crosby somehow ironically returns there. There's a different vibe. It really is funny how different that you're waxing about my tremendous head of hair. And again, I agree, but we haven't seen each other in a little while. Max Crosby was only away for like 6 days, and he walks back in, and it's a completely new world in which they seem semi-competitive at least. Anyway, as you evaluate players, and you have your 4 kids and everything, and they play sports.
Soon to be a grandkid, Dave.
Oh my God. Oh my
That'll
God.
make you feel old, huh?
Oh my goodness. Oh, sheesh.
Yeah.
You know,
I just threw you so off right there. You just lost everything.
I just think about, like, I wouldn't want to have a psychiatrist as a parent. I think I would just be judged all the time. And like I couldn't fool my mom, the nurse. Like, you know, that must be cool. Like, you know, you get immediate first aid whenever you get hurt in the backyard playing wiffle ball or whatever. Yeah, but I can't dupe her when, like, I don't feel well. I better stay home from school. Yeah. Like, she's like, no, you're not sick, whatever.
You have a test, David. You need to study. You need to go take that's the medicine you'll be taking today.
Well, I mean, for the record, to her eternal, praise, she did come to school one day when the Pitt Panthers were in the first round against Karl Malone and Louisiana Tech and boosted me from school so I could watch that game. Now,
wow.
Pitt didn't win that day, but Dave Dameshek did. He knew he had an ally for life. Now, does Daniel Jeremiah, are your kids, do you sense, are they nervous to do anything athletic around you for fear of being judged by the old man? Do you judge them more or less harshly than you do student athletes?
I judge zero. So, like, I don't think they ever felt any pressure because we just never, and that was something we just kind of decided as parents too. It was like, we're going to be parents and cheer and root and all that kind of stuff. But I was even reluctant to even give, you know, even like games over, like, hey, you know, if you keep your elbow in and, you know, this, that, and the other, like, I just wanted, just let your coach do the coaching. I'll just do the parenting and I'll be the cheerleader. So I know, I don't know if that's right or wrong. And I know other people have really helped their kids in their development and growth. It, to me, was like, let's go, we can go play in the backyard or we can go shoot some hoops or do whatever. But I'd never, the football thing, I was like, nope, you guys go listen to your coaches and have fun. That's it.
Yeah, you decided to hold out on your kids so that they wouldn't achieve as much as you did.
That's right. It's my fault. That's my fault.
Okay,
yeah.
that was a choice you made, and that's
would
it.
Have both been power four guys, you know. But the old dad over here just wanted to, didn't want to invest.
Yeah,
so, there you go.
He wants everybody gathering around his App State photographs hanging on the wall. We don't need to cloud that. We don't need to move those off the wall for newer images. Now that the Chicago Bears may have, and I don't want to say they definitely have, but let's assume that the Caleb Williams progress continues into this year. Now that they've finally gotten their QBs just 60 years into the Super Bowl era, what's the position group that to you is inexplicably unsolved for one team after this many decades in the Super Bowl era? What's the looming one?
I mean, I think Jets quarterback would probably be towards the top of the list. I mean, quarterback's going to be the one that'll always kind of pop up. Golly, in terms of other ones, I mean, the quarterback ones are the ones that just jump out and to you. It's hard not to find at least one. You stumble into one good player to position. The Ravens notoriously forever couldn't get the receiver thing figured out. I think Zay Flowers,
kinda right. They kind of
really solid,
really
solid. But they forever it was just, let's just go get Anquan Bolden. Let's just go get the veteran. Let's go get Derek Mason. Let's go get Steve Smith. Like, let's let somebody else figure out if these guys can play or not. Then we'll just go take them. So that had been a bugaboo for a long time. But I think Zay Flowers is probably, you could say he's ended that.
Okay, that's a good answer for a team that's been a contender for as long as you worked for them, and even before the Baltimore Ravens, incapable of solving the why, which was always a fascinating side by side that their arch rival, the Steelers, could never seem to land a high pick corner to cover those non-existent receivers, and they
it worked out for both of them. That's why they're in the playoffs every year.
Yeah, that's right. They seem to have kind of sort of resolved that in black and gold as well. Which team's roster, if Daniel Jeremiah were offered all 32 GM positions at once, which one would you say, like, I want that one because I can play hero, because if I just hit on this one pick or sign this one free agent, we're going to be Super Bowl contenders? Which one seems closest, and which roster is scary because it seems so far away?
Oh, man, that's a really good question. So
it's broad, yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the combination, and this is I honestly, I would tell you this if I work for them or not. I would say the Chargers, just because you combine the talent of the quarterback with the key pieces in place on the roster, and just a little kind of tweaks here and there, like getting maybe one more guard getting another pass rusher to be the third pass rusher with Mack and Tui Pelotu. The rest of the roster's in pretty good shape. So if I'm looking to combine kind of the quarterback with the roster pieces and only needing a little bit, because like Denver in the same division's unbelievable roster, but I would take the quarterback for the Chargers. So that would lead me in that direction. Selfishly, if you said like what GM job would be the most fun, I think it would be the Bengals, because I just love Joe Burrow, and I just think, we could get that thing going.
I wanted to ask you about what Burrow did about a year ago. He wanted both pass catchers, not just one, but he wanted both of them signed for the long term so he could continue to thrive. Did he make a mistake? Did the Bengals make a mistake listening to their franchise QB? And then at the back end of the regular season, he seemed Burrow unhappy. I mean, what's going on? I mean, what are they doing? Yeah. Why didn't they sign like Javon Hargrave as a for instance of the free agents that were out there? They have nobody on defense now.
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred to just say, hey, we're gonna get Jamar Chase back in the bucket. We love T. Higgins. We can trade him, and get a nice haul back and fill out the rest of the roster. And it's just as it works as the quarterback. As you go into the making money era of your career, then we're going to have you elevate some of the other young guys around you. We surround you with the guys when you're young, and now you got to elevate some of these other guys, and we can distribute these resources. But they've also flat out missed on some of the picks that they've had. So it wasn't just the financial resources that were tied up. They didn't necessarily have, some of the best drafts that made it even worse. So I think there's, I would have done the one receiver and then let's try and draft another one we can develop and use that money on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive line or other areas. But, I also think if they just hit on all their draft picks, maybe we'd say something different because, you have those two studs on the outside. But I would have, you get one, it's just like when we're all parents, hey, one cookie, that's it. You don't get the second one.
I mean, listen, I completely get people complain the overpay if you're, the Ravens going after certain guys and then they kind of undo that and the Bills and people have quite the Bengals are so bad and have handled the Burrow era so poorly. They're not even in the conversation anymore. Or Burrow is a level down from the pity we all, because everybody's a great empath, as you know, about poor Lamar, poor Josh Allen. They deserve better. Joe Burrow's not even in the conversation anymore. Which is crazy because I don't know. I would love to see the numbers on losses with 30 points because they've stacked up quite a few of them where, I mean, you look, how are you losing this game? It's going 30 points. Well, by the way, okay. Love talking QBs with you. Daniel Jeremiah is close to a QB whisperer out there in the media as anybody this side of Dave Dameshek. So go ahead and give it to us. What is your current, after we saw Patrick Mahomes look pretty mortal this past year, then end in injury, what is your top 3 or 4? Yeah, really, we've always talked about this, that because every team covets the man at QB, we try to talk ourselves into like there being 12 or 15 of these cats running around, but in fact, there are probably only 4 or 6 of them. What does that list look like of the guys who can carry a roster and cover up all the warts on the rest of the flawed roster because they're now paying out this cat so much money? Oh, gosh. That's a tough one. Josh would be number 1 for me. Really? Wow. Yeah. I would have Josh. I just think he's the most physically gifted of all these guys. And I don't think that roster was in great shape last year. Everybody kept saying this was his shot. This was his time. These other quarterbacks, no Lamar, didn't have to worry about Burrow, didn't have to worry about Mahomes. Like this was his shot. And I'm like, yeah, but he, his roster wasn't stacked as you would hope to be in that position either. So I would still have him number 1 on the list. In terms of carrying the team, gosh, I would still take Burrow second for me. Ahead of Mahomes? I would take. I'm a Joe Burrow guy, so I would take Joe Burrow. I mean, so he would be. This is borderline hot take that you would have 2 QBs ahead of the great Patrick Mahomes. I agree with you. By the way, I love Mahomes. I love Mahomes, but I mean, like I said, that defense in Kansas City has been really, really good the last 3 years.
even in their last Super Bowl run. And we saw they got to replace the whole secondary now. I love Mahomes. He's a great player, but to me, Burrow, if you put Burrow in those situations, I don't think he has any less success. I just love the way that he plays. So I would go Burrow 2, I'd go Mahomes 3, and I'd probably go Lamar Jackson 4. That would be the 4.
You gauge, and I've seen you do it, compete level. That's a big thing with these guys, lovers of football and all of that. Is there any available method that you've attempted even, or anyone else out there that you know who's tried to gauge clutch? Because that's the one thing that you can't really know until, as far as I can tell, you don't know until you're in it, how you're going to react to it. Is there any ability to do that from your side of things?
Well, I just do it, kind of put it under the umbrella of situations. So, when you look at 3rd and 7, that's 3rd and 7 plus. So when you can watch all those plays, when you look at the red zone plays where, okay, these are 4-point plays. I mean, this is condensed space. This is not a lot of room. This is a lot of pressure, and it's pressure, not only physical pressure that you're dealing with, but you're also dealing with, again, the outcome difference. We convert to 7, we don't, it's a 3. These are all 4-point plays. I look at late game situations. So let's go look inside 2 minutes, what they're doing in late games. And then I look at big games, how they've played in those big game stretches. So I don't think there's one thing, but I think when you kind of put that whole thing together, you start to see a picture. And I think, look, quite honestly, it's why, why I like Mendoza. Mendoza's not a perfect player, but when you look at him in those instances, I don't know how you could come to any other conclusion. The fact the guy is pretty clutch, and he's shown it in those key spots that you can look at.
I mean, yeah, the idea that they breezed through the schedule and what they did in the playoff was remarkable stuff. But yeah, he had a couple of tests in
There's some white knuckle moments. Some white knuckle moments there.
Yeah, and throwing the ball. Big help from Rhett Lewis, by the way, catching some of those passes. Well, right?
Oh man, I just thought, I was just watching. You're watching Cooper and Surratt, and I'm sitting there going like, gosh, the pressure those guys must feel, knowing, the shoes that they walk in. I don't know. They did it. They somehow were able to overcome those expectations heaped on them by the ghost of Rhett Clenchment. So congratulations to them.
Oh, look at you going with the proper name.
That's what it says on the back of the jersey. That's what it says on the back of the jersey.
He's a fancy guy. He has a stage name and everything, DJ. Are there positions that matter more now than they did 5 or 10 years ago? I see it. We'll get to Jeremiah Love in just a second here, but that was the rhetoric, was that running backs had become fungible, and why would you use a first round pick? Are there positions that matter more than they did 5 or 10 years ago, and which ones matter less?
Yeah, I think that always changes. To me, the nickel position has become really, really important, and really specifically kind of the bigger nickels. That's what teams are wanting to do, because the answer to everybody playing nickel was, okay, well, we're going to bring that nickel into the run fit. We're going to run the ball at him, and we're going to make that little guy have to tackle our 220-pound running back. And now what teams have done, as you've seen with Eamon Wari and Derwin James and Kyle Hamilton, all of a sudden you look down, there's 6'3", 220 pounds in there. So it's not so fun running at those guys anymore. And they can cover a little bit, and they're instinctive. They can blitz. Like, there's a lot of the best defenses have really good players in that role. Petrie can do some awesome stuff, even though he's not a huge guy with Houston. You look at any of the top defenses in the NFL, I guarantee they've got a stud in that spot right there that can do everything. So that's become important.
And you're right, too. I hadn't really considered, right. It's the Swiss Army knife thing, but outsized. Like Mike Hilton was a guy, I think he was sort of the personification of what you wanted in the slot or as a nickel, right?
Well, we used to just take, hey, you're a good corner, but you're little and undersized, so you just play in the nickel. And now, there still are guys like that. We'll see. Speaking of Indiana, like Pons will probably be one who's going to play a lot nickel, but for an undersized guy, like, he is really, really tough and feisty, and he's going to be able to hold up okay in there for a little guy. But ideally you want one of those giants that can do all that stuff. And the other thing I think you'll see, and you're starting to see a little bit of it, unfortunately, this draft isn't great in this area, so I don't think it'll be reflected this year. But I think having defensive tackles, that can hold up and that can, be able to anchor against double teams and then just give you enough pass rush. Doesn't have to be great, but just enough. I think with everybody wanting to play shell coverage, you've got your two high safeties. We're a little light number-wise in the box. Like those, we went from when I started in 03 of there's value in the run stopper, and then with the Casey Hamptons and Nadas and these guys, like that was the era, and there was a lot of value in those big guys. And then it was, hey, it's a passing league. If you can't rush the passer as a defensive tackle, you can't take him in the first round. Like it's, that 2-down plugger, that this is no longer what we're looking for. And now everybody said, okay, well, we got to stop all these big plays, so we got to play our safeties high. Well, that means we got to stop the run with fewer guys. Like, where'd the big guys go? We got to get these big guys back in here again. And there's more value with them. So I think to me, that's kind of just done really a full circle.
You talked about the hero, Fernando. And obviously he's going to be number one to the Raiders. Is there any cue? I mean, the exact same conversation we had 1 year ago, DJ, and I suspect we had that conversation 2 years ago. I mentioned this a year ago, 2 years. Right. Everybody, you can't take any quarter. Tyler Shuck, Jackson Dart. I mean, you got to wait for next year. That's where all the studs are going to be. Lenoris and Arch and Drew Aller and so on. And now it's the exact same conversation for next year. I mean, is there anybody in the meantime in the QB league for teams that need QB still? Is Ty Simpson? I hear Dan Orlovsky going on about it. I like Ty Simpson. Or am I just trying to talk myself into it as a Steelers fan? Is he a viable first-round pick?
I like Ty. He's in my 30s on my list. So to me, like if you say what's a perfect spot for him, I've said, look, Arizona at 34, I really like. There's a possibility maybe they trade back in to get the extra year, late one. I don't think that's a reach at all. I think he enters into the conversation there. The challenge is going to be, to me, the fit matters and the location matters. And I don't see him as a great fit in Pittsburgh. I don't see him as a great fit with the Jets. Like those are divisions to me that just they beg for a bigger guy just to be able to withstand the beating, to play in the weather you're going to get later in the year. Whereas Ty goes to, he plays in the NFC West. It's a great fit. And I think he could have a really solid run there. So I like him. I always tell, people when we're talking this time of the year that it's a love him or hate him business that we're in. Like you either love him or you hate him. And I'm like, no, there's accessing the talent and then just matching it with the value of where he goes. So I like him. I think he's got a chance to be a solid starting quarterback, but you got to marry that with the value. So if you're Arizona and you're picking 3, I don't think that's what you're getting there. I think he's your second pick, even if it was in the first round. There's a difference. Everybody says, well, is he a first round or a second round? I'm like, well, there's also a difference. Is he your first pick or your second pick? There's just different. Well, last year when, you talked about Dart, Micah Parsons gets up there. Not Micah Parsons. What's the other Penn State kid? Abdul Carter. Abdul Carter is the one who goes up to the podium. That's your shining star. That's your first pick. And it takes a little off of Jackson Dart. He's the next one up there. He was their second pick, even though he's a first rounder. Shuck last year, he wasn't their guy picking up there at the top of the draft. So there's just a different pressure there. I think it's just marrying the talent with the value. And I thought last year those two teams did that.
Well, I mean, just in terms of pedigree, he is the Bama recruit. I just can, from a million miles away, have to assume that, he's got the physical attributes. He may not be big, it may not be sufficiently big enough, but otherwise I just have to assume without knowing anything about he's the starting quarterback at Alabama. He must be physically gifted. All right, let's talk about my team.
Hold on. Just 1 second. Though. Can I just pause that for just 1 second?
Go ahead.
You realize that would you, if I told you Tua and Bryce Young and I lined them up next to Carson Palmer and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning, are those pillars of they are going to look the part, they're going to absolutely, you pick them out of a lineup.
Well, I don't know. I was never a part of the thing where everybody decreed that Tua, before he even threw the national title winning touchdown overtime pass, that he was, this guy is a can't miss. Look at this prodigy. Look how gifted he is. I never fully understood that one, but I take your larger point. Who right now, I mean, here's the thing. Your pal, Penn Hill's own Andy Weidel, has done remarkable work in Pittsburgh, loading up at the line of scrimmage. I knew that was exactly why they brought him there, was to try and fix that up. You have, first of all, before I ask you about QBs, you have Blake Miller going to Pittsburgh at pick number 21. I assume to kind of offset, if you would even call that a Weidel or a Steelers miss with Broderick Jones. He hasn't really fully fleshed out to what you would expect somebody picked at that spot to be. Plus, he has the neck injury and all of that. So that's a deficit. But I with the roster where it is, am I overstating it from your eyes? I think that's the best roster in at least the division right now, save the quarterback spot. So you want somebody in there right now who can take care of business. And I mean, you can explain. You can talk Blake Miller if you want to. I'm sorry, I'm all over the place with this, but I guess the matter at hand is it's the quarterback league, and so long as they continue to fiddle around with brand name QBs that are out of style now on the TJ Maxx rack, what are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, look, I would argue, Will Howard is going to be an interesting part of that discussion.
Really?
I think he's going to be compared to these guys. I do. Like I like Ty Simpson. I have a higher grade on Ty Simpson than I had on Will Howard coming out, but Ty Simpson's got 8 good games that he's played in college football. If you took Will Howard's playoff games, well, that's half of those games, right? He played at a really, really high level, went on and won a national championship. I know on a loaded team, but he played really, really well. He's bigger, he's sturdier. So there's at least part of the discussion there. I've thought of them as a Carson Beck team, whether that could be take your flyer in the 3rd round.
Keep seeing that once. Seeing Carson Beck specifically to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, it just kind of fits more from a physicality standpoint. But I've even I've argued that, hey, look, the trade we just saw yesterday, which was Andy Dalton going to Philly. Like Tanner McKee was a 5-star kid coming out of high school, went to Stanford. There's a lot of ability there. And if the Philadelphia Eagles are going to move on from him and maybe think they can cash in a quarterback market in a draft that's not great at the quarterback position, maybe that Howie thinks he can, fetch something for him. That would intrigue me. I saw a kid play in high school. I remember calling David Shaw, was at Stanford, and be like, hey, are you recruiting this kid? And he goes, yeah, no, I think we're going to get him. I'm all, well, congratulations. This kid's unbelievable for a high school kid. He was at Centennial High School out here in the Inland Empire, but he's a big, athletic kid with a big arm, and I just don't think a lot of people are familiar with him. But
yeah, it's weird how certain guys slip through the cracks. By the way, kudos to you, because you said that. I remember sitting in a room with you and talking with you about the 2018 draft class at the draft. Yeah. And you switched at the last minute, right? If I remember it correctly, you said, you know what? Love Sam Darnold, always have. I'm moving Bake up to number 1 because of the fit in Cleveland, and you like that fit. And I think you ultimately were proven right. The Browns it up and moved on from him. And I think we can render that being a mistake at this point.
I think I kept Sam as my top quarterback in the draft.
But for fit, right.
For fit, I might have gone over there.
But you were right, though, about Sam Darnold, because a lot of people said, what a misread on this guy. But ultimately, you were proven correct.
Just had to wait. Just got to wait 7 or 8 years for these things. That's it.
All right. We've waited long enough now. Daniel Jeremiah. Who should be? You're the general manager. You and Andy Weidel and Omar Khan now get to powwow. And you say, you got to listen, this 2026, the QB that is realistic for you. Let me give you 3 options.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Will Howard, and I'm interested in Ty Simpson because I'm desperate, you understand?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, or how about this one, J.J. McCarthy?
Oh, wow. That's a little plot twist there.
That'd be fine by me. You got to be like that. People keep saying, well, that's crazy. Haven't you seen him? Listen, the Steelers have reached a position now where they cannot make sober $5 place bets at the crap table. They just got to put it all on the roulette wheel and spin, man. They gotta get lucky at this point. You know, they fooled around for too long. How say you? I mean, 43-year-old man. You know, no 40-year-old person's ever been in a Super Bowl besides Tom Brady.
Here's what I would say: where the roster is now, and you're out of your words, best talent inside the division.
You disagree?
No, I think it's a strong case. I mean, I think the Baltimore roster is not anywhere where it's been in the past. So I think it's very fair. But that points to me towards Kirk Cousins as the best option there. And I think you can get a nice little 2-year window, because when you bring back TJ Watt, when you bring back Hayward, like, that's not, hey guys, we're going to fool around and see if we can experiment with this JJ McCarthy thing and see if this hits for us here. Like, I think once you've made that decision to kind of run with those guys, now you've built up the offensive and defensive line really well. They've got a lot of good young players on this team, but this feels like, hey, this is kind of a decision for the last of this ride of this group. And then we'll go on and try and find the next one. So I would say that would be more likely than them taking one in the first round.
Okay, but specifically, because a lot of people come at me when I say Kirk over Rodgers, and they say Kirk.
I would take Kirk Cousins over Rodgers.
Yes, we're not talking about 2014. We're talking about right now. We're talking about one season in a 43-year-old man versus a guy who very quietly looked pretty good at the back end of the 2025 season. All right, thank you for validating my opinion. Go ahead, Daniel Jeremiah.
My bug guy just got here.
Go get the door.
I just saw him come down the hill.
Go get him.
Yeah, working. All right. David, do you need anything else from me today?
Well, I wanted to talk some Jeremiah love, but I think you've said it all already. You like him very much. You think he's a great pair for Cam Ward. And I guess I get where you're coming from, since they loaded up on defense. And that's that. Next time I see it, it'll be on the banks of the Three Rivers. Let's have a dinner, a lunch, something like that.
I would absolutely love it. And now I'm going to see if we can get some wasps out of my attic. So that's what we're going to do right now.
All the best with that. In the meantime, thank you so much for your time. There he goes, everybody. The best
Thanks,
in
Dave.
the business, Daniel Jeremiah. There he goes, off to deal with the bug man. What did you fellas think? Anything stand out? I mean, I think a couple of things really stood out to my Steelers colored ears. Is that a thing? Steeler black and gold glasses? I don't know. Can my ears also be that ear? My black and gold earmuffs? Either way. Well, I don't have earmuffs on. They were open because my ears heard what he said. Whatever he said, they really like Will Howard. I keep hearing this. I did hear him say Carson Beck. That buzz is out there. But the number one thing was Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers. He agrees with Dumb Dave. I like that, but also, how about those QB rankings, Mike Fuentes? 2 guys ahead of Mahomes?
I understand that. Mahomes, the last 2 years, he hasn't seemed very Mahomes-like, if that makes sense. Plus, now he's coming off an ACL thing, an ACL that happened like in the back half of the season. So he's going to be coming into a season. His first couple weeks will probably be against guys that are already at full game speed. You know, he'll be kicking off cobwebs. These guys are already in week 4 or 5. Gino, you think he'll be ready when to come back?
I really do get the feeling that they're really going to run the ball a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
season.
Don't get me wrong. Mahomes will have the arm talent until he's 43 years old. Mm-hmm. But it's just like the speed of the game and the mobility. So at this exact point, I can understand putting a Josh Allen in front of him or a Joe Burrow in front of him.
It's also funny, you know, you adjust, you're aware of it, but your brain doesn't fully register the transactions that we've seen in the last week plus. But they now, like you say, they now have Ken Walker back there, so they could kind of fundamentally change their approach to what it's been, but then they don't have corners, so what's that going to mean? Because like DJ said, they did lean on that defense. I think a lot of people, it was almost an afterthought. People talked about Chris Jones a lot, but otherwise people weren't talking about how important that Chiefs defense was to their sustained success. That's interesting. And then the other thing is that the Broncos are the team to beat. I don't know who's really going to make much of a case against that right now. So that brings me to the other side of things. The Dolphins sign Malik Willis, and their first move, basically, is to trade away the one decent pass catcher they have in Jalen Waddle. How say you? What's the buzz down there in Miami, fellas?
Well, I mean, at this point, you have to wonder if Devon Achane is going to be next, right? Because you got nothing else on the offense. You got Malik Willis out there with no real receivers. So, I mean, Maybe they're going to draft one in the top 10. Maybe they're going to go ahead and sign Juwan Jennings. But at this point, why it wouldn't make sense to sign Juwan Jennings?
Yeah, you're either going full tank or you're not, and half the salary is dead money. It is kind of weird, the Malik Willis thing now.
I don't think that, Malik Willis with a tanking team doesn't make much sense.
Well, how are you going to evaluate him?
Yeah.
Like, no disrespect to Tutu Atwell. But I just don't think that I just don't think that combination of the receivers. I think two Washingtons. I can't even name them for you, honestly. They just
why wouldn't they even have kept Tua to play with Tutu? That's such a great opportunity that they dismissed.
I just don't. The Malik Willis thing is what, because clearly we're tanking, right? Like the whole Devon A-Chain thing, we're gonna.
Well, that's the reason I say we're not tanking.
No, but there's no way.
Because there's no way. Malik Willis on the roster.
But I think that's if he somehow finds a way to impress, they're gonna run the ball a lot. We know that already, right? Or attempt to. So if he somehow impresses with this cast, now you're like, oh, okay, well we have a guy moving forward. I think it's just a big trial period. We'll give him a good chunk of money. He'll see if he sticks around. If he does something when this somehow. Some way he goes above 500 this season, ends up at a 9-8 record, you give him all the money in the world, right? Because he will have found a way to do the impossible with this cast of characters. But that being said, the Jalen Waddle trade I thought was a good trade.
Yeah.
It's basically a very high second round pick, the 30th pick overall, third round pick for a guy who, honestly, to me, I don't remember a game where he didn't limp off the field. Mm-hmm. So good trade for the Dolphins. I understand from the Broncos side too. I mean, so we'll see.
Second menu for Greg Rosenthal of this episode, but he pointed out that I think Waddle only missed, in fact, 6 total games during his career with the Dolphins.
That wasn't the problem.
Yeah, but if you go back,
if you watch his games, there's a lot of going out of games, not coming back.
Correct. He'll be out there in the second quarter. He'll have something ankle. He'll come out for a series or two. He'll come back in the third or fourth, and then basically just be a pedestrian out there, a decoy for Tyreek Hill or Waller or Dolce or whoever was out there trying to catch passes. I've seen every Dolphin game for the whole entire career of Jalen Waddle, and there's a lot of exiting games.
Well, I mean, as I said, a bunch of minutes ago, I think people are weird when they try to cosplay NFL GM, like, oh, the Broncos overpaid, the Bills overpaid to get DJ Moore. Yeah, they're trying to win now. It's a win now league. It's a year-to-year league. It makes. I get you gave up a lot to get Jalen Waddle, but that team was pretty loaded up before they had Jalen Waddle, now even more so. And it is a year-to-year league in Miami, too. And so the Malik Willis thing is so wild to the point that on the heels of Max Crosby, if teams can do that, can't Malik Willis do that? Like, hey, you know what? I got offers from other teams. I think I'm going to take one of those as it turns out.
It's definitely a familiarity. Right? It's a familiarity play. Like, he knows these guys. But let me just give you.
He can't be happy now.
I mean, when that first paycheck comes in, he'll be just fine. But
I know, but he could be making that paycheck on a team that might win some games.
I had an argument the other day with Ethan. He was talking about, the Cardinals don't have better receivers. I go, they have Trey McBride, that Michael kid. I remember his last name. It's Wilson, I think. He was amazing at the second part of the year. Marzarati Moff. But I'm going to give you some Jalen Waddle numbers, okay? The first year, 104 receptions. Second, 75.
That was a record at the time.
That was a record at the time. Rookie receiving record. 104, 75, 72, 58, 64. Last year, his least amount of yardage. The year before that, 744. And he had 3 1,000-yard seasons coming into his fourth year, but one of them was 1,015. The other was 1,014. So he really had one big year for yardage. And he is a dynamic player when you can get him the ball, but he has to be out there. And I'm kind of excited to see what Denver finds a way to do with him, because they kind of have like that Green Bay thing going on. A lot of like 2 guys, right? So let's see what Waddle can do in there.
I disagree with you about Courtland Sutton, but okay. Yeah, I mean,
another guy that's always injured. Another guy, I love Courtland Sutton, but always injured. He'll have games where he completely disappears.
I wish I would ask DJ this. Is it the most overstated thing going in pro football schematics? The idea, like, you have to have a true number one. Which of those 2 guys is the number? Who cares who the number one is? Let the defense tell you which is the true number one. Oh, they're devoting more assets to stopping that guy. Okay, then let's throw the ball to this guy. I mean, that's exactly what the Bengals have been doing too, right? So, all right, listen. You know what I'm bummed about is that we flapped our gums so long. I still haven't gotten a chance to review the Tennessee Titans get-ups. And now we're going to go away for a few days. Good news is, though, make sure you're checking out the Football America YouTube page because we keep updating that through the week. We actually are now doing an extra 7-8 minutes that posts on Tuesdays so that you don't forget about your pals over here at Football America. Make sure you're subscribed there actually leave out the or. And wherever you find your favorite audio podcasts, we'll be back next week, next Friday. Pablo Torre. I bet you've heard of him. I know all the scoundrels in the NBA and the NFLPA have heard that name. He'll be with us for an extended sit 1 week from now. In the meantime, thanks to Daniel Jeremiah for the grand work. Thanks to the Fuentes boys, Bradley Cooper eating his soup over there in London town, and everybody else at the Batard Network. Until next time, thanks so much, my fellow football Americans. It's been a thin slice of heaven.